It's Friday, May 3. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Minister of Health, Dr. Christopher Tufton, is encouraging persons to get immunized against diseases such as measles, as non-action can have severe impact on the population. The minister, who was delivering the keynote address at a national immunization fair held at the Spanish Town Prison Oval in St. Catherine, said immunization is not only a personal issue, but also a duty and responsibility for community and country. Jamaica remains on high alert in the wake of an outbreak of measles in several countries. The United Nations Children's Fund says an estimated 169 million children worldwide missed out on the first dose of the vaccine for the highly contagious disease between 2010 and 2017. Head of Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM, Terence Williams, welcomes the decision to shut down the mobile reserve. He is quoted in the Jamaica Observer saying, "We have repeatedly pointed out the deficiencies in leadership, accountability and control of the mobile reserve." End quote. A release from the Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, yesterday announced that the mobile reserve will be disbanded. It said a new-look special police unit should be operational by the end of this year as part of major changes being implemented in the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF. The INDICOM boss says authorities should consider issuing rules for the use of force for the JCF and the JDF, as well as the correctional services. Rules, he says, that will ensure that they have the right human rights framework in which they use force. Security consultant and former Deputy Commissioner of Police Mark Shields, who in 2016 called for the disbanding of the mobile reserve, also welcomes the announcement by Chang. The spotlight has been turned on the mobile reserve since last Sunday, when news broke that 3 of the cops allegedly involved in the shooting incident that left 3 persons, including 1 member of the JCF, dead, were based at that unit. The vehicle the 3 were traveling in was also assigned to the mobile reserve, while 3 of 5 guns found in the car the cops were traveling in, plus license plates, all belonged to the JCF. A U.S. official assigned to the Jamaica Constabulary Force to improve its forensic capabilities has ended his contract early, stating he has become frustrated. The contract of Craig Dower, forensic evidence advisor with the U.S. Embassy in Kingston, ends in October, but he has opted to leave the job next week. Mr. Dower said the JCF has no desire to change, adding that he has submitted scores of reports for developing forensic capabilities in the force, but very little has been done. He noted that while DNA samples have been taken and analyzed, they have to be stored because there is no DNA database in Jamaica, despite the DNA Evidence Act being passed 3 years ago. Mr. Dower was speaking Thursday afternoon on RJR's Hotline program. The government intends to stick to its current macroeconomic policy in order to protect and build on the gains attained to date. That assurance from Prime Minister Andrew Holness. He argued that any reversal or diversion from the policy could jeopardize prospects for the nation's economic security and independence. The Prime Minister was speaking at a media briefing at the office of the Prime Minister on Tuesday to announce an additional $140 million loan from the World Bank.
The gains that we have made can easily be reversed if we were to ever start to fool around, tinker with, or try to in any way change what the people of Jamaica, the unions, the banks, everybody, the private sector, the public sector, have worked so hard to gain. Let us not start this conversation about trying to change policy. Let us stick with what we have seen work. Let us cement it in, and then let's move on to other things, such as becoming resilient as a country to protect the gains that we have.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Holness during Tuesday's briefing said that the administration is mindful and proactive against any risks that could disturb our currently good trajectory. He indicated that the government, through the Finance and Public Service Ministry, has been working with the international development partners such as World Bank to craft financial instruments that will protect Jamaica against weather-related events, among other risks. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett has lauded the bill for the Tourism Workers Pension Scheme. This was one of the main planks from his contribution to the sectoral debate on Tuesday.
The long-awaited Tourism Workers Pension Bill has been tabled. And this is a game changer, Mr. Speaker, for the workers, and represent not just a historic development in the Caribbean, but in the world. Because, Mr. Speaker, this will become the only destination in the world that has a comprehensive pension plan for every single worker in the sector called tourism. This will make us, Mr. Speaker, a world leader in providing tourism social security. Already, Mr. Speaker, we have been getting inquiries from other nations about our revolutionary pension plan. The commitment, Mr. Speaker, to this pension plan began in 2008.
The bill has been tabled in the House of Representatives and will soon be debated.
It came about because in December, every year we go and have breakfast with the Red Caps and with the immigration workers and the airport staff in general. And I went to Norman Manley, Mr. Speaker, and I saw this Red Cap. He was 78 years old. And he had been doing the job for 48 years. And I said to him, why are you still out here? He told me about his children and grandchildren and so on. And he said to me, I can't leave because if I leave here, I will not have anything to eat afterwards. And I resolved in my mind then that we must have a pension plan for the workers of the tourism industry.
Speaking at a post-sectoral debate press conference at the office of the Prime Minister on Wednesday, Minister Bartlett said the bill will benefit all who work in the tourism industry, including those who are on the brink of retirement within the next 5 years. Mr. Bartlett said $1 billion has already been set aside to assist people who are now registered within the 5-year period for retirement who will not meet some requirements of the scheme. Mr. Bartlett said the Tourism Workers Pension Scheme is in keeping with the government's focus on creating a social security network within the tourism sector. Opposition Senator Floyd Morris has called for the education system to be more accessible to students with disabilities. Speaking recently at the launch of Dr. Charmaine Gooden-Monteith's book, Inclusion of Students with Special Needs in the Regular Classroom, at the Jamaica Teachers Association's offices on Church Street in Kingston recently, Morris said he believes that the education system is closed to persons with incapacities. In the book, Gooden-Monteith highlighted the challenges, opportunities, and issues in several countries where the implementation of inclusive policies take place. According to Morris, the Child Find program, which is a legal requirement that schools find all children who have disabilities and who may be entitled to special education services, has pointed out just over 4,000 children with disabilities that are in the education system in Jamaica. Newly elected Member of Parliament for Portland Eastern, Anne-Marie Vaz, says she will be donating her first month's salary as a Member of Parliament to start a tertiary fund in her constituency. Vaz, who is a founder and director of the One Jamaica Foundation, said the details of how people can apply to receive assistance will be disclosed at a later date, as she urged those who supported her vision as caretaker to join her in this venture. The current salary for a non-executive Member of Parliament is just under $300,000 per month. Vaz has meanwhile committed to continuing to seek donations to bolster the fund. These scholarships will be focused on specialized studies that can help to build the constituency in hospitality and tourism, skills training, computer sciences, among other things. At the same time, Vaz said that she has many other plans for the constituency that will create opportunities for the youth to maximize their potential and have access to the opportunities that can change their lives. In regional news, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has made a public appearance flanked by soldiers at an army base in Caracas in a show of defiance towards his opponents. Mr. Maduro called for the armed forces to defeat any coup attempt. This followed 2 days of clashes between opposition and pro-government forces. Opposition leader Juan Guaido has urged public employees to strike to undermine the government. In Trinidad and Tobago, the state's cooperating witness in the ongoing corruption investigation into former Attorney General Arnand Ramlogan, SC, and opposition Senator Gerald Ramdeen has struck a deal over his role in the legal fees kickback scam. Up to Thursday, both men were still in police remand. The plea bargain agreement for Jamaican-born British counsel Vincent Nelson was revealed by the Director of Public Prosecutions Roger Gaspard SC as Nelson was hit with 3 conspiracy charges Thursday. Nelson is accused of fraudulent conspiracy with Ramlogan and Ramdeen. National Security Minister Stuart Young spoke of the plea agreement at the weekly post-cabinet press briefing.
Is actually the utilization of the plea bargaining legislation that was recently passed by the Parliament and driven by this government. So Vincent Nelson did enter into a plea bargaining process, and my understanding is he was formally charged, he has pleaded guilty, entered into a plea bargaining process, and there's a sentencing that's to take place.
In the meantime, Attorney General Faris Ariwari is maintaining that the arrests of Ramlogan and Ramdeen are not particularly motivated. But the opposition believes it's all a plan by the People's National Movement government to distract the public from what it calls its failures. We get more in CNC3's news report.
The PNM is known for distractions. As I say, let justice take its course. But on another level, they're known for distractions. We recall before elections, they charged Pastor Pandi. Recall before elections, things found in Bakshi's water tank. So there's a history of this. And I do believe the PNM is in desperation mode. They are in panic. We had a tremendous launch of our local government election campaign on Sunday. And I do believe that they will do all that they can in their desperation. It is interesting how we deal with certain matters on a selective basis with alacrity when there's so many other things outstanding.
The opposition leader says she hasn't spoken with either Ramdeen or Ramlogan, but maintains if they committed any wrongdoing, due process must be followed. While she shied away from saying if she's standing behind the 2 UNC members, the opposition leader says their arrest is no indictment on her or the party.
I always remember something my former leader told me. He says Jesus Christ had 12 disciples. And at the end of the day, almost everyone betrayed him. I cannot vouch for guilt or innocence of any single human being. I can only speak for myself. And therefore, I do not take it as an indictment. In my time when wrongdoing appeared or came forward.
But the Attorney General, in an immediate response, says his office did indeed pass information on to the police, but he says it has nothing to do with politics.
This is not an exercise of the Keith Rowley government. And we didn't cause anything to happen. What we did is we did our jobs. We did the respective investigative aspects within the boundaries that we have. We referred whatever we had to refer in many matters, not just current matters. In many matters, we have referred these products to the respective authorities, and I expect that those authorities will be acting with the same degree of anxious alacrity that the government acts.
The Attorney General says he takes no delight in the situation facing the 2 attorneys, but he says the opposition leader needs to be realistic and remove politics from the equation.
Did Mrs. Prasad Bisessa reflect upon the fact that this is the 2nd time Mr. Ramlogan has been arrested? Did she reflect on any of those things? You see, Mrs. Prasad Bisessa is fighting for her political survival and relevance. And Mrs. Prasad Bisessa will do what she must. I can offer no advice to the leader of the opposition, nor any complaint. There's a freedom of political expression and freedom of political will in this country. To each his or her own.
The Barbados Central Bank is reporting a positive outlook for the economy. Here are the details.
IMF has lowered its forecast for global growth from 3.5% to 3.3% over the last 6 months. The forecast for growth this year in the U.S. economy is 2.3% and in Canada 1.5%, while the prolonged uncertainty related to Brexit has dampened growth prospects to just over 1% for the United Kingdom. The outlook for international food prices remains muted, but given geopolitical factors, there still exists uncertainty surrounding international oil prices in 2019. In recent years, the share of investment in economic activity has declined. The bank is encouraged, therefore, by the start of some new private sector investment projects, which will complement tourism activity and the impact of the new thrust in medical education services. Indeed, the rate of economic recovery will hinge on the speed of implementation of new investments and on the pace of economic diversification, which is needed to supplement traditional foreign exchange earnings.
In sports, we're on the pitch with cricket as the West Indies has been given a rankings boost ahead of the ICC World Cup. The regional team climbed to 8th spot on a one-day international chart on Thursday.
For the Windies, the rise comes on the back of their outstanding performance in the recent 5-match series against world number 1 England, which tied 2-2. In the Test rankings, West Indies are now on the heels of 7th-placed Pakistan after gaining 5 points. The Jason Holder-led unit, which stunned England 2-1 in the recent 3-Test series in the Caribbean, are now on 82 points, but only 2 behind 7th-placed Pakistan, which dropped 4 ratings points. India sit on top of the rankings with 113 points, but lost 3 ratings points to see their gap on second place New Zealand shrink to 2 points after the Black Caps gained 3 points.
And that's the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. Thank you for watching.